beautiful viewers, we are back yet again with another exciting and juicy episode of this show. And right here is MIMINEL'S Diary, Realities and Perceptions. And I've always been your girl, Minette, aka MIMINEL. And the slogan of our show has always been Realities and Perceptions. What I think, what you think, the reality of what is, and the way forward. So you're welcome. I'm so glad to see you all once again. And in this new video, I just pray we don't miss it, because right here I'm going to give out tips on the things you must do if you have to accept change. Yes, a lot of us have been battling with one old habit or one negative attitude for a very long time, and we don't know how to go about it. Just like people say, change is the only constant thing in life. So don't give up, and no matter how much critics you get, keep being yourself, keep being you, and keep striving. There is God, and keep taking your problems to Him, and Him alone can give you the strength to overcome and to pull through. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with the full details of this video. And if this is your first time coming across my videos, please don't forget to subscribe and give my videos a thumbs up, because right here we give tips on day-to-day life and how we can handle certain challenges that affect our well-being. So please don't forget to subscribe and give my videos a thumbs up. And for those of you who have been sharing my videos, those of you who have been commenting, those of you who have been sharing your views, thank you so very much for the support. Your girl is grateful, and may God continue to bless you all for me. So I'll be right back, and don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome back from the break. I hope we are all set to go into the video. I hope we are well placed, well seated, and we have something to keep our mouths busy while we are watching the video. So yes, someone once said there are 3 things that actually make up a man's life, and he said, 1, the information that gets into the person, the company the person keeps, and the books he reads. It is true, because these 3 things actually define who you eventually become. Unlike in our last videos when we talked about challenges that is facing parenting in recent times, we all know that there are other factors that affect a child's growth or a child's well-being. And once a child is at adulthood, the grip of the parents becomes loose, because the child is able to decipher what is good and what is wrong. And at this stage, the parent really has no role or very little role to play in a child's thinking capacity. So friends they keep, the books they read, and the information they get is what determines who they eventually become. Life itself is another determining factor of what you become, because life in itself is not fair. So there are times you end up becoming who you do not desire to be because of life's situations. There are circumstances that changes your entire being, and in the course of all of that, we pick up 1 or 2 negative traits or attributes which we tend to struggle with for a greater part of our lives. And in this video, we are simply going to look at the 5 basic things, or 5 tips you must do if you need to change. So our topic for today is 5 needs of change. And point number 1 is to identify and acknowledge that flaw or weakness in you. The very first thing you need to do if you must accept change is to admit or accept that you have a fault or you have a flaw which you are battling with. If you do not accept this, change cannot come from within when you do not even see a problem with who you really are. Imagine being in a relationship sometimes and your partner is complaining a lot about a particular attitude or attribute that you have, and you find it very okay for you to develop or have that kind of attribute. Now, this partner doesn't see it as good, and you yourself don't see it as a problem. So there becomes a conflict in the home, because you have not acknowledged or identified that you have the flaw. And this becomes problematic even in your relations with others. So the very first thing, if you must accept change, is to identify that flaw, admit and acknowledge that you have that flaw in you, and prepare to work on it. Now, this flaw can be anything. It can be an addiction. It's just anything. It can be your mindset. It can be your ideology about things. It can be inferiority complex, because recently we have a lot of people dealing with inferiority complex. A lot of people out there are suffering with low self-esteem, and that's a weakness, that's a flaw, because with that you don't see anything good with yourself. You do not even believe in yourself. So yes, inferiority complex or low self-esteem is a flaw which needs to be changed. So with this, after identifying and acknowledging that you have this problem or you have this flaw, the very second thing you need to do is to control how you react to people's opinions about it. Yes, change doesn't come that easy, and a lot of times you might face a lot of criticisms from others. Mind you, whatever happens in life takes 20%, and how you react to those things takes 80%. And in most cases, that reaction is what becomes your identity. So when life gives you lemons, like someone said, and you choose to focus on how sour these lemons are, it becomes who you are. It shapes your mindset, your ideology about life, and that becomes your reality. So in life, how you react to things is what is eventually going to shape who you become. When life gives you difficult situations 1, 2, 3 times, and you give the same reaction to these situations, maybe you put up a negative attitude in these situations, that shapes you and it becomes who you are. It gives you that identity. You become very hurt, and you find that you have no love in your heart to give to anyone. You become so aggressive, you become so angry at the world. And yes, all those emotions building in begins to shape your thoughts, your mentality, your personality, and whatever you become. Mind you, these reactions in most cases are always negative. So be careful and conscious of how you react to things. And again, don't always pay attention to what people say concerning that thing. Sometimes you may want to change and people have something very negative to say. Maybe you've been a chronic womanizer, or maybe you've been a drunk all the while, and you want to change this attitude of womanizing or drinking or smoking, and then people start like, oh, look at that one, if you change and things like that. Shape how you react to those kind of things. Mind you, people will always judge you based on their standards. A drunkard will never believe that you don't have beer in your house. Just like a womanizer will never believe that one man is equals to one woman, or one woman is good enough for one man. He will never see it okay. Or just like a man who is so addicted to sex, he will never believe that there are people out there who can stay for a very long period of time without indulging in the act of sex. So people will always judge you based on their standards. It is left for you to control the way you react to these situations. Don't let your reactions become your identity. Because when you react to things once, twice, and 3 times and above, it now becomes a part and parcel of who you are and gives you that identity. And this takes us to the third point, which is simply the aspect of determination towards the change you need. If you need to change, then you need to be determined to make the change work. You have to be practical and intentional, not only in your utterances, but in your actions. Not only in your actions, not only in your utterances, but in the company you keep. Quote me anywhere. If you must change, then you need to be practical and direct in your utterances, your company, and everything that surrounds your life. A lot of times, we are tempted to want to go back. Just like someone said, a pig will always be a pig. If you care, you dress up that pig with the very best of clothing and the very expensive of jewelry. That pig will always return to the mud, and a monkey will always go after bananas. And just like others say, a leopard would hardly or never shed its spots. The tendency is that we become tempted to miss the life of the things we used to do. Say, let's take for example a person who likes drinking heavily. Now the tendency is that you are tempted to miss alcohol. So here, if you must accept change, the very first thing is to keep your dignity. You made a determination that you want to change. So keep your dignity intact. Don't go to those places you used to find yourself going to just because maybe you want to belong to a clique of friends. If your company isn't serving the right purpose, then I think it is high time we change who we keep around us or who we put in our circle of friends. If your company isn't working out or isn't all about self-growth, development, and making plans for the future, then I don't think that friendship is worth keeping. It's high time you change your company. You should have friends who are business minded, who are goal oriented, people who talk about future plans, and when they see a means for growth, they are willing and able to share with you. They ensure that both of you or the group of friends grow together. Not friends who would get to that point and then maybe shut the door behind them because they don't want any other person to get to that maybe ladder of wealth with them. No, they want to be in control. No, there are certain friendships you should work on. So if you must accept change, then determination comes from within. You bring it practically by working on your utterances, mind the way you talk, especially if you have anger issues. And if you want to change that, you have to mind the way you talk. You have to mind the company you keep, because most times friends are a big influence to a person's life. I will always say that. And if you're not careful, if you're not a strong-willed person or a determined person, sometimes you tend to live the life other people want for you. You find yourself doing things you don't want to do just because maybe your clique of friends are doing that particular thing. So mind the company you keep. And again, you should mind how you react, your actions. Be determined to be calm. Maintain a calm position in every situation. Sometimes you find yourself in a group of friends who really want to, gist, like they call it, or you want to really talk about others. Learn to maintain a composed attitude. Learn to maintain a composure, especially if those situations do not always end well for you, because it is going to serve a greater good for the peace that you need and sanity in your mind. The very fourth thing you need to take into consideration if you need to change or if you must accept change is information. After making that determination and trying to work on the things that surround your external life or external activities, the next thing you need to take into consideration is information. What do I mean by information? With information, you are able to know what happens around you. You are able to understand where you are and what you want. So with information can serve in different levels. Maybe by listening to past stories of people who have similar issues that you are struggling to deal with, or maybe just talking to a counselor. Your counselor could be anybody. It could be a trustworthy friend who you talk to. There are people who have friends who they can actually confide in and actually get some peace, because this friend actually gives you that exact advice of what you really need in life, or what you really need in a situation, or they are able to maybe identify a problem and maybe give a solution to it. It could be a friend, it could be a counselor, it could actually be a therapist, it could actually be your pastor. So talking to someone about it is another means of getting information, because someone might just know someone who has been dealing with that particular issue or that particular trait or that particular addiction or that particular negative attitude, and the person has worked or has evolved over time. So bringing you two together can help you to get the change you desire. Information can still be reading books or novels or stories to improve your self-growth. For people who have low self-esteem, you can watch videos online on how to work or how to build your personality. So information plays a very vital role to change. Now, the very last thing you need if you must change is to make peace with yourself and move on. A lot of times we live in self-guilt for so many years, and we find ourselves doing things the very wrong way. And in most cases or in severe cases, you might even fall into depression. So the very last and bold step you must take if you must accept change is to make peace and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for that wrong thing or that mistake or wrong move you have made in life. There is no harm in letting go. If that letting go entails you losing people around you who are part or an influence to the negative attribute, let it go and make peace with yourself. Because if you don't have peace, a lot of things cannot go right. Once a man's mind is under attack, he cannot think properly. So peace is very essential in every domain of your life, and especially when it comes to change. You cannot seek or strive for change when you haven't forgiven yourself or when you haven't made peace with yourself. Make peace, reconcile yourself, and carry up your shoulders. Walk with your head high. Because that self-confidence is what you need. Never let anyone dim your light because of one negative attitude or not. Yes, they are going to doubt you. It's not going to be an immediate process. They are not going to accept the change immediately. But who cares? It is your life at the end of the day. Don't always live your life to please others. Everybody has their devil they are dealing with. In a lot of closets, they are hiding so many skeletons. People may not show it outside. The person who is busy shading you about being this or that has his or her own devil. They may not show it out there. We have a lot of beautiful faces, beautiful smiles, but we have a lot of sad people who are moving about. So don't let anyone bring you down, or don't let anyone shade you for who you are. If you decide to accept change for the better or for a positive, then please work on it without any fear or any shame or any doubt. Work on yourself and be proud of who you are becoming if you're changing for the better. That will be all on today's episode of the show, and please let me know your views on what you think, and if there is any other vital point you think is relevant for anyone who is willing to accept change, please share them on the comment section. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share to those who you think might need it. Somebody out there might just be looking for this kind of video or this kind of encouragement to take that bold move. Sometimes they need to just hear a positive word for them to activate that operation change. So please share this video as wide as you can, and don't forget to invite your friends to join us on this channel. Please don't forget. I would appreciate it so much, and thank you all so very much. And from my end to you, it's bye bye.